You're with the Newsmakers on the panel, Jennie Moreton, Keown and Duncan Webb. Well, he's only been in the job 5 minutes, but the Tertiary Education Minister has signalled a wave of looming reforms. Slack students, junk courses and student loans are all on Stephen Joyce's hit list. Does the tertiary sector need a tune-up, or is this a recipe for trouble, Jennie?
I think it does need a tune-up, yes. And actually this is a great opportunity for me to share this idea that I've had for years around student fees. I think everybody should go to university free in their first year. Pay no fees or minimal fees, like we did when we were at university. If you pass more than an arbitrary percentage of your course, and that might be 80%, whatever, then the next year should be free again. And if you keep passing, you can go to university for free. If you go to university and party up and muck around and don't pass your courses, don't expect the ratepayers or the taxpayers to subsidise you for the next year. Make it incentive-based. That's what happens in the real world. Why shouldn't it happen at university?
Not bad.
Yep, no, I back that as exactly what I said during the last election, that's how we should be going. And finally seeing a shake-up, brilliant, because there's just so much waste in that sector and a lot of time wasting for the people going there, as much as the waste of funds that could be so better utilised elsewhere.
I noticed that your friends in the Labour Party are heralding the cries of anguish and alarm at this.
Well, it's a tricky question, because there are people who go to university who shouldn't be there. You know, and that's what it's trying to address. But one of the real problems is that of every sort of 10 people that go who look like they might fail, there's one in there who is at last given a chance and shines. And it's really important, I think perhaps this is your point, it's really important that anyone gets a chance to excel. And it may be that it's an expensive chance to give because of all the other people who fall away. But, you know, law school's a great example where if you only gave it to let people in who were going to succeed, you know, all the graduates, you know, would be middle class.
That wouldn't be such a bad thing, though.
Well, you know, let that be on the record. It would be an appalling thing if every graduate was a middle-class white guy. I mean, the fact of the matter is the legal profession's much better because we have a whole diversity of people, many of whom wouldn't get in, you know, on a mere merit basis at the outset. Me included, in fact. Is
there a danger, and I think Labour's Marion Street has pointed to this already, is there a danger that tertiary facilities and other providers will just lower the standards to ensure they keep the cash, you know, if there is a bit more quality to control?
You can't really lower the standard on being a doctor, can you? Do you know what I mean? Like, and an architect and in those, and I'm sure your law papers, you've got certain standards that are already set there that are international. You can't have an internationally recognised degree if your country suddenly lowers the standards. You know, you can't even spell the word doctor. You're hardly going to get a degree.
And this is this whole thing about the junk courses, I guess, as well. I mean, let's have relevant courses. I mean, people go to university, yes, there's the sheer joy of learning and there's the social interaction, there's all those other things. But at the end of the day, we want people to come out of university with the ability to contribute something back to New Zealand and to the economy. We want to keep them here, so don't land them with student loans if they actually have got something to give and then they're going to bugger off overseas. So let's make it a process which generates some people who have something to add to the community. And don't land them with a whole lot of debt if they're willing to go to university and work hard and get their degree in 3 or 4 years. And just make the process a lot cleaner. And
But in answer to your actual question, the answer is yes, universities will game and they'll put pressure on teachers and classes not to fail too many students. If you have to pass 80% of your class to get the full funding, there are going to be pressures.
So they'll cheat rather than actually
Well, look, it's much more, it's actually more insidious than that, because the pressures won't be overt, but it will be the fact that, well, the course funding will be cut.
But in the real world, if you're really average, you just don't get a good job, or you don't get a job. If you're really average or you're below average, what's the point in employing that person?
Oh, look, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying the fact of the matter is that when pressure to pass people exists, and it's sometimes very subtle, then it's going to have a consequence.
OK.
Could be a good one.
Just very quickly, are you surprised that there are 123 different tourism qualifications available in New Zealand?
I mean, that's astounding, isn't it?
It's nuts, isn't it?
Does that include the scuba diving?
And flower show preparation?
Yeah.
All right. Now, alongside the tertiary sector, the wider state sector is in a state of flux, I think it would be fair to say. The Prime Minister has already foreshadowed some mergers of government departments and agencies. Is this eminently sensible, Aaron?
Well, of course it is. You know, the government's top-heavy at the moment. There's far too much middle management, and there's not many people working in front lines. We've seen the changeover on the health boards, where there's more people there in white shirts than white coats nowadays, and no one ever expected that to happen. Niue have 750 staff, Mike. That's just a few too many, just a few. And
what do they do?
Well, they tell us the weather, kind of.
Yeah,
collectively.
750 of them.
They go to Antarctica and get ice core samples and things like that, don't they?
Well, they went and jabbed some whales yesterday.
Yeah, I was going to say something about whales, yeah.
But that's fine, you know, you have research work, but there are departments where people are just kind of feathering their own nests, and I think creating work for themselves. Often you don't solve the problem, otherwise we're out of a job.
Do you have any major concerns about this?
Well, I tell you, I've just come from working with the Ministry of Justice in a job there, and one of the real problems there that's been in the media recently is just the fact that the lower echelons are so poorly paid, and it may well be that too much money is going to the top echelons. But I think if you get the workers, you know, properly remunerated for the really difficult work that they do, then that would be a real improvement.
Well, that may come.
Well, of course, if they keep striking, it probably will.
Jenny, what's your take on it?
I think that is probably about time. I think that, you know, there's not a business in this country in the last 2 years who haven't looked at their staffing, they haven't looked at their costs. You know, all know you run a business well, you've got two choices: increase your income or decrease your costs. And it's time to decrease some of the costs in government. So let's do it, and let's do it. This is a good opportunity to have a good clean out and make sure that these departments, if they're necessary, are full of the right people.
Maybe we won't have to keep borrowing $1 billion a month to pay the grocery bills.
Very quickly, are you delighted that the Ministry of Women's Affairs looks like it's going to be retained?
Oh, I'm gutted. You know, I have no. Yeah, look, it's. I don't know. I don't care. You know, I really just don't care.
What about the Families Commission? Now, I thought that might have been on the chopping block.
Oh no, that's Peter Dunn. That was his baby, wasn't it? I think that's protected by dint of politics.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we'll take a break. Coming up, is New Zealand about to surrender to Japan over Moby Dick? We'll have a look at that and other issues shortly. Do stay with us.